Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us ahead of time for our conversation with vintner Phil Long and chef Govind Armstrong. I hope you're all settled in with a glass of wine, hopefully a Pinot Grigio. I'm Dyan Sublett, president of the MLK Community Health Foundation and chief communications officer for the Martin Luther King Community Healthcare System. It's great to have you all together with us virtually, but frankly, I miss seeing your faces. For 8 years, I've been able to greet you personally. I love standing on the stage of the Grand Hall at the Music Center and looking out and seeing all of my friends and family gathered in one place. I'll just imagine you. I'm glad to know that you're all at home, safe, and hopefully with friends and family that you love. Today, you're going to have a great show to enjoy and a great conversation ahead of you. I'm talking to you here from the healing garden of the hospital. The Martin Luther King Jr. Community Hospital is a very intense place right now, and the healing garden is very calm and beautiful. The intensity has to do with all the patients that we're caring for COVID. Outside, there's 5 medical tents operating. We've converted the 4th floor into an ICU unit. But even though CNN has called us the epicenter of the epicenter, which we have been for about the past month, I was pleased to read from the LA Times what their impressions were. A place of great order and systems, quiet hallways, a place where each nurse and doctor could still turn to each individual patient with compassion and care. That's how we work at MLKCH. Our hospital is part of a larger system of care, one we're building out to improve the health of all of our communities in South Los Angeles. That system includes the Rosecrans, Wilmington, and East Compton clinics, the MLK Community Medical Group, our community and population health programs, and of course, the foundation. We've only recently launched our master brand, MLK Community Healthcare. And before we get started enjoying our conversations with Phil and Govind, I'd like to share with you a few minutes of news about MLK Community Healthcare.
Something exciting is happening in South Los Angeles. The award-winning hospital that takes care of you when you are sick is now your place for lifelong health. It's the place to get a checkup, to welcome a new family member, to keep your kids safe and healthy, to prevent and manage disease, to age joyfully, and so much more. Now you can get high-quality health care for every stage of life right here in our community. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Healthcare. We've got you, South LA.
Food is an important part of how every culture is defined. But it's more than just a list of ingredients or how we put them together with our technique. Food is really about friends and family. Food is community, and it's how we welcome people. Food is also business. Right now, I'm going to give you a little sneak preview into the Dream Show and share with you the food segment for Salute to South LA.
Post and Beam started about 9 years ago. We're born and raised in Inglewood and knew the area quite well. I came, looked at the site, and I was sold. I'm like, I know we can do something really cool here, something really unique for the community. I wanted it to be a place where the locals could come and hang out and feel like they had a real beautiful restaurant that was there for them. Opening the restaurant here was sort of like a coming home. Just being from here, it was really an opportunity for me to, really look inside myself. And, my mother's from Costa Rica, my father is African American, my grandfather is Indian, and it was really just an incredible platform to serve these dishes. 9 years into it, John came along.
I've always envisioned owning and working in a restaurant. I've been doing that since I was a kid. In my wildest dreams, I believe Post and Beam was the perfect restaurant for me to be in. Every chance I get to be in the kitchen with Govind is an experience that I become a sponge. As a young black chef, especially in LA, we all look up to Govind. And he's always been this figure that we always want to be like, we imitate. And so to get close enough to really pick his brain, to learn different things about cooking that I didn't know before, it's a dream come true.
I think it's really important to have a restaurant of this caliber in South LA to give the community something that they can be proud of. And my hope for South LA is for it to continue to thrive, continue to grow, and develop. It can really just become something brilliant.
My name is Greg Doolan, and I'm the owner of Doolan's Soul Food Restaurant. We have roots that are long and deep in the community. But Doolan's, having been here for about 36 years, I can't believe I've been here that long. What I learned over the years is that restaurant owners and restaurants are very important because we're often the businesses that offer first opportunities and second chances. A lot of our employees are coming here for their first job. We also have employees that work for us who are getting a second chance in life, if you will. And I'm very proud of that. What you witnessed today is the Mayor's Great Plates program. We're one of a handful of restaurants who are participating in that program. And what we're doing is we're preparing meals for seniors. We box them up and then we send them out in cabs to the different homes of the senior citizens. What a lot of people don't realize is that there's a lot of hunger in Los Angeles. And when COVID hit and the shutdown began, the senior centers where the seniors would go get their meals had to close. And so the seniors didn't have a way to get their daily meals. And so the mayor initiated this program so that the senior meals can continue to be served. Between the 30 restaurants who participate in the Great Plates program, we have served more than 4 million meals since this program started as a result of the coronavirus. 4 million meals. So my hope is that we can find a way to sustain the community, the local businesses, and to help them grow and be successful. Because a strong community is only as good as the businesses that exist there. And if we have more businesses in the community, this community can thrive just like everywhere else.
Govind Armstrong is a talented and accomplished chef. From Table 8 to founding Post and Beam to the 2020 Los Angeles Times Jonathan Gold Award, Govind has been celebrated for his delicious food. But Govind is also very committed to healthy eating and the use of local produce. Speaking of local, Govind is a local boy. He grew up in South Los Angeles, and he's been with us as part of our family from the very beginning of the Dream Lunches 8 years ago, contributing for us his talent and his great spirit. The fact that he's with us tonight, sharing a recipe that he created for us, is very much like coming home.
Hi, I'm Chef Govind Armstrong. We're here at Post and Beam Restaurant in Baldwin Hills today. I've been a chef for many years. So many I don't even bother counting anymore, but I was born here in Inglewood, raised most of my life here in California, right here in Southern California in Los Angeles. Mother's Costa Rican, so I spent a few years growing up in Costa Rica as well, but most of my formative years have definitely been spent here in Los Angeles. You know, I've had some great opportunity when I was younger to start working in kitchens, which was always my dream. Very fortunate to have worked for some great chefs. You know, Wolfgang Puck offered me an apprenticeship at 13 years old, so that was sort of my summer gig, just getting things started at Spago. But really just worked with some really cool, innovative chefs here in Los Angeles throughout junior high and high school. I worked with Mary Sue Milliken and Susan Feniger when they opened City Restaurant. That was quite a while ago as well. And they were just incredible, just so full of knowledge. They traveled a lot. They always brought back these interesting gadgets and just really cool, unique ingredients. And it was quite an amazing restaurant. I was with them for about 3 years. After that, I worked for Joachim Splichal, did some work at Patina and also at Pinot Hollywood. I was the chef there for quite some time. Did a lot of travels out to Europe as well. It's like I really wanted to, understand where food came from and where, certain techniques were sort of invented. So spent some time in Spain and France and Italy. Really got the basics, basic fundamentals of cooking down out there as well. But again, traveled a lot, worked with some incredible chefs, had some great opportunities here in Los Angeles as well to open some restaurants of my own. I and Ben Ford, we opened a restaurant called Chadwick in the early 2000s, which was a great experience. Really interesting location in Beverly Hills, right on South Beverly there. Just a great, beautiful little restaurant. Had a lot of fun there. We had our own working garden, which is pretty extensive. We grew a lot of the food that we served, all the flowers that went on the table. Cooks were scheduled, 1 day a week to go out and take the compost from the restaurant to the garden. Just a really unique, interesting operation. I opened, and I met Brad Johnson, who I'd known for a while, but we had been talking about opening a restaurant. He was offered the opportunity here in Baldwin Hills at this location to start a new restaurant. It was kind of a no-brainer for me. I came and looked at the location. I understand the community that it's in, and it was about 9 years ago that we had opened. And here we are. I think John and Ronnie have taken over about 1.5 years ago. And they've been doing great things with the restaurant, really just getting through this pandemic and staying open and feeding their community and doing the best that they can to stay relevant. The food is just as delicious as from day one. It's a beautiful restaurant, and hopefully things will get back to normal soon, and would love to have you in. The menu here is pretty fantastic. This is a dish that I haven't done here, but that definitely speaks to me. I've always been a fresh fish connoisseur. I just love fish that's so pristine and so fresh that you don't even have to cook it. These days, now more than ever, I have 3 kids at home, so I'm cooking more than I ever have in my life for some of the toughest critics on the planet. So this is a great dish where there's minimal amount of ingredients, minimal amount of cleanup. You're not really cooking. It's a really beautiful yellowfin tartare. We're gonna serve that with it's a simple kimchi aioli. And then the vessel is pretty much anything you want. It's such a good, simple dish with ingredients that are, not completely uncommon, except for, maybe everyone doesn't have kimchi in their pantry, but if you don't, I recommend that you do. It has a great shelf life. It has incredible flavor. It's wonderful in so many different applications that it's definitely a go-to for me. So I think I'm ready. Guess I'll get started. So what I have here is some beautiful tuna. This is the yellowfin. It's basically the sashimi grade stuff that you will get at a good sushi restaurant. And what I'm gonna do, it's very, very simple. I've done some of this stuff ahead of time, some of the prep involved. This is kimchi with some of the brine from the kimchi as well. There's 100 different types of kimchi. It's pretty easy to make on your own. It really gives that flavor of umami and uniqueness to this dish. And what I like as well, it's like it doesn't overpower. People would probably think kimchi and raw tuna, it's not really balanced, but it's the kimchi. We have a little bit of aioli. We're going to add some fresh lime juice, a little bit of scallion, some sesame oil, and some raw garlic. Yes, it sounds like a lot. Once again, they're all common ingredients, and it's really about the balance. There's a touch of sugar there, and with that sugar, the acidity from the lime, the umami from the kimchi, it all comes together quite beautifully. So, little kimchi and the brine. I'm just gonna add that to the aioli here. If you don't have aioli, just use mayonnaise. It's AKA mayo. Notice I keep my yellowfin on ice there the whole time. When I purchased it, I diced it and put it like right back in the fridge on ice because I really like that super cold raw tuna feel in my mouth. It's just one of those things that makes it even better. Just gonna stir this up. Really not a whole lot to do right here, but in this I already added a few drops of sesame oil as well. In most kimchi there is toasted sesame seeds, and this is really just gonna help bring out that flavor, and it really gives it that nice orange hue, which I think is really beautiful. Just a little bit of sugar. Again, like I said, that's really going to balance out the sourness that you get from the kimchi and the saltiness that comes with that, and the brightness of the lime juice just makes it all that much better. I'm going to add a little bit of sliced scallion. It's just the whites there. I sliced them fairly thin. And on this, you don't need to add any salt, which is great, or any pepper. If you want, you can finish it with a little bit of sea salt if you want that nice little crunch and that nice little pop, but it's not necessary. Now we're gonna brighten it up with just a little bit of fresh lime juice here. And this is about 1/4 of a lime, maybe 1 teaspoon or so. That really should do it there. And these are a type of appetizer that you don't want to make it in advance, because what's going to happen is the acid and everything from this aioli will actually cook the tuna, giving it a completely different texture and different flavor. You're going to end up with some funky ceviche, and that's not the goal here today. All right, so we're going to make a little indentation there in our tuna to add the aioli, and then we're just going to fold it in. We don't want to mash it up and bruise it either. We want to keep it really nice and in this beautiful dice here. So the recipe makes quite a bit, which is a good thing. So I would make the entire recipe. Use what you want to lightly coat the tuna. You don't want to drown it. You just want to give it a light coating of that aioli. The rest keep in your fridge, and you'll definitely find many, many uses for it. Sometimes it's really hard to scale these recipes down. And it's interesting, when it comes to tartare or any sort of raw fish product, I'm either like nothing on it, just olive oil, lemon, salt, pepper, or give me some flavor to go with it. And this one really adds a nice flavor and it's definitely different. It's not your average tuna tartare. So what I have here, these are just some simple toast points. I used a little bit of sourdough bread, brushed it with a tiny bit of extra virgin oil. We fired it off in the wood-burning oven. So what you'll do is just smear a little bit on this toast point here. Sometimes you can add a little bit of radish for some extra added crunch. And that's it right there. Beautiful yellowfin tartare with the kimchi aioli.
Our vintner with us tonight, Phil Long, the president and founder of Longevity Wines, is a man who's passionate about his wines. He'll tell you his story of growing up right here in Inglewood, of starting to make wines with his wife Deborah out of their garage. Soon they moved to Livermore Valley and became a legitimate winery, and received awards after that, including the 2018 Winery of the Year Award from the Livermore Valley Winery Association. He's a man who's made us all proud in our community, and a man who's going to tell you, with all of his enthusiasm, just a little bit more about that Pinot Grigio that you might be sipping right now.
Well, thank you, Dyan. I really appreciate that introduction. I am, like she said, Phil Long from Livermore Valley here at Longevity Wines. We are a small family-owned winery that love to make pairings with wine. We're known in the valley for our food and wine pairings, but this one all goes to Govind and his effort pairing a great dish with our wine. A little bit about Longevity Wines. My wife and I met in Southern California, and in Southern California, it's interesting, wine is just something you get at a grocery store or the restaurant or whatever. It's just a commodity. When Deborah and I were relocated to Northern California in 2002, having a love of wine, which was really, really interesting. When you get here, wine is part of the fabric of life. It is part of everyday life here. You cannot drive in any direction in Northern California without ending up in wine country. It is that prevalent here. So doing what normal people do once we moved up here, we started to get out and explore our new surroundings. And inevitably, every weekend, we would end up in wine country, and that love and passion continued to grow. So we thought, let's just see if we can make a little wine at home. So Deborah and I bought some grapes, read some books, and just started making wine at home together. It was just something that she and I loved to do because it was something a husband and wife, it was a hobby. Neither one of us had any idea what we were doing, but we learned along the way. And at some point, we ended up with a barrel room in the garage that held 12 barrels, and Deborah says, okay, what are we gonna do? So we decided to throw in the hat and open the winery commercially here in the valley in 2008 in a little tiny space across the street from a sewage plant during a recession. So if we could make it during that time, we could make it during any time. In addition to that, during that time over there, I had a barrel fall on my head from the 4th stack up, paralyzed me right when we were getting ready to expand, and we even overcame that. A little bit about the heart on the label. The heart on the label was inspired from the fact that I used to give Deborah glass hearts every single Valentine's Day. I started it, and it just became something that she looked forward to. Everything about her life became hearts. Heart dresses, heart jewelry, heart rocks on the beach, you name it, it was about hearts. So when I redesigned the label, I redesigned it, if you look closely, that it's made up of more hearts, grapes, and grapevines. And that's truly what's become the iconic brand of longevity now that we're national. But that heart really represented Deborah and I and our love together. Unfortunately, in 2016, Deborah was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, but before Deborah left us, I took her with me to get this tattoo on my arm that she will always know that she's going to be with me no matter what. She's part of this journey, she's part of this story, and I tell this story to everyone along the way, and she'll always be part of it. That picture behind me, I made her the promise that that would never come down. And she said, yeah, I thought about that. I said, no, that's always going to be here. So part of my journey is honoring Deborah and our journey even to get us to this point. She was just as much of this journey and effort as I am, and we all miss her, but there's 2 wines named after her, and like I said, she'll always be part of this journey forever. And just before she left us, a couple interesting things happened. While we launched nationally, partnering with one of the largest wine companies in the nation, Bronco Wine Company, I now produce one of my labels, our classic label, at Bronco, and that's distributed nationally through Bronco, RNDC, Breakthrough, and a couple others. And my son and I are now the winemakers here, producing our Reserve or Vintner Select wines that you're having today. So let's talk a little bit about the wine today. The wine today is our Pinot Grigio. I know the first thing that comes to your mind is, well, Pinot Grigio is not normally pink. Well, it's not normally pink unless I make the wine. Actually, Pinot Grigio is a relative to Pinot Blanc and Pinot Noir. The hues in the skins of Pinot Noir actually are in the hues of the skins of Pinot Grigio. Most large wineries in this country, when they whole cluster press the grapes and any of that color leaches through, you can leach out the color, but you can't leach out color without leaching out flavor. So we turn the bus in the other direction. We actually leave it on the skins overnight before we press it to get color and flavor. The style in Italy is called ramato, and we pair this wine with seafood dishes, spicy dishes, sushi. One of the cool things, especially with Govind's recipe, he really paid attention to all of the notes in the wine. During fermentation, you actually get these wonderful, fragrant grapefruit notes coming from the wine. And that little bit of citrus that's left in after fermentation really works well with the lime juice that's in the recipe. Number two, spicy things, the kimchi, the little bit of pepper. It's a perfect wine for cutting through that pepper and pairing. And it is the perfect wine for tuna tartare, which I know you guys are all going to enjoy. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Again, my name is Phil Long. I'm here from Livermore, California in the Valley, and we are Longevity Wines. Thank you, Govind, for the pairing. Thank you, Dyan. Thank you, Martin Luther King. Thank you all, and I really appreciate you guys having me here. So cheers.
We have so much to thank all of you for over the years and very recently, including the sponsorship of this show. You have helped us tell our story. You have cared for our frontline workers. You supported us in building out community and population health programs, and you stood by us as we brought doctors into South Los Angeles. Thank you for all of that. Thank you for celebrating with us. We have great ambitions ahead. That won't surprise you. But I'm convinced that we'll achieve them along with all the other accomplishments that everyone said couldn't be done. We'll do that together. Now, together, let's turn and celebrate this work of health and our community in the Dream Show, a salute to South LA.